It is May 24th, a Sunday, beautiful, warm, sunny Sunday. And I did this one about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Tomorrow is Memorial Day. We're still on lockdown from the pandemic. And I hadn't flown the drone for, I don't know, several weeks. So I decided to refresh my piloting skills and forgot to turn on the camera until I was almost back to the creek. But that's all right because we can see that when we return. And that little farm there with the red barn is the landmark that I use to go to the area of the creek that has beaver dams. But the dams were washed out today, and we had 4 days of consecutive rain last week, so I wanted to go back and see how full the creek was. And it is over its banks, but it's not nearly as flooded as I thought it would be. So I just turn around here and go upstream away. I call it the Skinny Dipping Creek because for decades I used to go back there and swim all by myself. One of the joys of country living. And you can see the reflections of the clouds in the stream, which is pretty full. It's still flooding, but I've seen it when the edge of that field's been underwater on the left. So here's the skinny dipping area with a little sandbar and some fallen trees. We'll go upstream just a little ways farther and then I'll tell it to come home. Right up here on the left is the confluence of two major streams, and when they come together that forms the larger creek. So anyway, at this point right around now I say, well, one final look at the skinny dipping area and let's go home. So I click the return to home program, and there have been many times that if I did not have this homing device, which of course is all set by GPS signals, but if I didn't have that, I literally would not be able to find my way home, because sometimes I go out and I'll fly out. Well, this flight alone was almost 2 miles, away, and I get disoriented sometimes and really don't know which direction home is. But so anyway, I really depend upon the homing program, coming home program, and it knows exactly where home is. In fact, if I let it, it would not only come home, but it would land from the exact point that it took off from within a couple of feet. It's really phenomenal, the technology. Anyway, we're flying back home. I'm flying at an altitude of about 300 feet. A little bit of flooding there on the right. It's very difficult to see the stream. There's a little bit of it. You can see a little bit of it right there. The stream that comes through the forested area. Yeah, you can see a little bit of it there, but for the most part it's covered by the trees. Last time I flew over this, it was all bare. In other words, it was looking like winter. Everything was just brown. So it's nice to see the foliage again. coming up on Dogtown Road. We had a little adventure last night. One of my neighbors got drunk and drove his pickup truck into the ditch and came into our field a little bit. I didn't call him. I was up half the night, but I didn't call him. They had 2 or 3 emergency vehicles plus the highway patrol, and he was taken to the ER, but he's all right. The truck was totaled, and he was written up for DUI, and I lost some sleep. But anyway, here we are, coming to the farm where I live, and I turn off the homing device because I want to fly around the farm. I don't want it to land where I took off from. I want to just fly around my little loop. I call this my loop. You can see why. It's my little corner of the world. The red tractor with the 36-row planter. That's the largest planter that is made. It's a technological wonder. And when Robbie gets out there to plant, when it gets dry enough, and it will be in a couple of days if it doesn't rain, he can plant 250 acres in one day. And he's done it many years in a row. So here's the tail end of my loop, and as I come across the red barn, which needs painting, and then the green roof is where I live in a house that I made about 20 some years ago. And I'm sitting at the end of that driveway, even though you can't see me for the trees. Normally I prefer to land backwards, but for reasons unknown I decided to land forwards this time. So I think it's because there's no traffic on the road, and I figured it'd be safe to bring her in. The only thing I was trying to avoid was the mailbox. So I could see it, very clearly in front of me. It's just that the joysticks are reversed when you fly that direction, and I prefer to land backwards. There's the mailbox. So I bring it in and let her land right in the middle of the road. And I thank you very much for watching. Have a happy Memorial Day weekend, everyone.